Hey, what's going on, guys? Well, I think it's time I do a review on the key bar. Now, I got these at Atlanta, Georgia at Blade Show. The short story on this was I was talking to a viewer who came up to me and said hi, and we're talking about knives and stuff, and I asked him what cool things he saw at the show. And amongst a bunch of knives that he mentioned, some different booths that he wanted me to go check out, he also mentioned to check out Key Bar's booth. And I'm like, well, what's a key bar? And I kind of felt silly because I never heard of it before. I thought it was knife related. And he's like, no, key bar, it's like a little contraption, keeps all your keys together. And I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. Didn't really think much of it. He told me where it was. I checked out the knife booths first, went over to Key Bar, and absolutely fell in love with this design, and more specifically fell in love with this specific one because I am a huge fan of splash anodization. All right, I've had mag lights with this type design on it. I've had knife scales with it on it. And I think it's really appealing to me. Everyone, of course, has different tastes, and there's a ton of different designs on these. But this one really stood out to me. I love the idea of it, really wanted it, so I ended up getting it there. In fact, I liked it so much. Christina was looking at something else when I was over at the booth, and I actually had her go back and look at them. She saw mine. She's like, that's really cool. I really want one. I'm like, all right, well, let's go check them out. She ended up getting something a little bit more plain. This one, it might be hard to tell, but it is anodized as well. It's kind of a greenish yellow color. Compared, side by side with like bare tie, you'd be able to tell the difference. But on camera here, it's kind of just looking, kind of grayish. But in person, it's a little bit more of a yellow green. And her setup is very different. She just has 3 keys. They're color coded. She also uses a lanyard in it, with the pocket clip here. And she keeps hers on her bag most of the time. It's in the Molly gear or Molly strapping on her bag. But anyway, I wanted to grab it for comparison here. You can see they get very thin. I mean, you can have 1 key on this thing, you have 2 keys, you could have 100 keys. I keep a lot more. Mine's chunkier as far as the width, you can see here. But I'm about to change mine because there are some keys on here that I'm not using very often, so I want to take those off. But basically, I want to talk about it a little bit and show you what I got here. When we got these, we were playing around with them so much, we ended up going to, I think it was Lowe's. I don't know if it was Lowe's or Home Depot. We got a little case, and we kind of went crazy with the hardware here. We got a bunch of different lengths of screws for this, a crap load of washers, just so that we can change it out, play around with it. And we had a lot of fun. We changed it almost daily for the first 2 weeks. We're constantly making alterations to it. First I had the pocket clip on, then I didn't. I had a lanyard on mine for a little while, then I took mine off. This is ultimately what I ended up with, but I'm gonna change it again today. And I figured why not, do a review on it, talk about it a little bit. It's really, really easy to take apart. It's just flathead screws. All you need is a flathead screwdriver. I just want to show you what it came with. It came with this little tin. You get a card. If you want to contact him, I'll put a link to the website. But there's contact information for Mike, for Key Bar. And then you get the instructions, which couldn't possibly be any easier to do. Now, it shows that it's included with 2 screws. I actually got 2 sets of screws. I don't know what you're getting right now with them, but I basically got a short set and I got a longer set, so it gave me options right off the bat. Also comes with a link here. You can integrate that into it if you wanted to. Basically, that gives you the option to use a lanyard. If you're not using a lanyard on it, you don't need this piece. That's all it is. It's just for that purpose. But as you can see here, it's pretty straightforward. Oh, how many times am I gonna do that? Basically, you're going to put your little rubber washer on, or O-ring rather, on the screw. That gives it a little bit of a buffer. So when you're tightening this, it's not metal on metal. There's a little bit of a squish there. Not only does it keep the screw from not, backing out when you're using it, when you're rotating the keys in and out, but it also gives a nice solid feel to it, and there's no metal on metal. It's a really good, tiny little detail, which I like. So it's pretty simple. Basically, add a key, add a spacer or a washer, another key, and so forth. You obviously do different sides. Christina does have hers alternating, so the keys are completely flush in there, whereas mine, they're basically, hers are like this, so they're staggered. Mine, I have a bunch of keys on both sides, so they're not staggered, so they stick out a little bit more. You see that? So I mean, this is all the way closed, whereas hers, the keys are just kind of staggered on top of each other. Mine are next to each other, if that makes sense. But obviously still compact, it doesn't stick out very much. But that's pretty much it. If you want to use the pocket clip, that's how you have to integrate it underneath through the scale as the, you're putting the screw through. And there you go, it's done. So instructions are very simple. I'm actually gonna take this apart and show you real quick in this video. As far as prices on these, and before I even get into this, I want to talk also about the Key Smart, because that came up in conversation a lot when I first showed these. This one that I got was $85 because it's more elaborate. It is full titanium, okay? And it is obviously splash anodized. Christina's was less. I think hers was only 65. I know the base models like uncolored tie start at 65, and they do have an aluminum version which is 45. So if you want to get into a key bar, this specific design, you can go with aluminum. Doesn't have to be titanium. Obviously, I like the titanium because I like titanium gear. There's a lot of people out there that just like it. It is a little bit more expensive, but you know, it is what it is. The Key Smart, totally different thing. The Key Smart, I believe, was a Kickstarter program. It did come out before Key Bar, because a lot of people in comments, they said, you know, this guy from Key Bar, he just basically copied the design. It's a similar design. I mean, overall, yeah, it's the same type of thing, but it's a better version. It's a much better version. It's more robust, it's thick, and most of his models are titanium. He did offer the aluminum, so it's a little bit of a cheaper option. But if you get a Key Smart in titanium, it's more expensive than the Key Bar. So, you know, it's just one of those things where some people didn't like the idea that the design was copied. And it's not an exact copy of that idea, you know. And with the kind of the logic behind it, I don't want to get into a rant, but it was a little bit annoying to see comments like, oh, it's so stupid, just copied it, it's the same thing, it's just a more expensive version of the same thing, you're better off getting the cheaper version. You know, what happens with knives? You take a really good design and you know, upgrade it, you make it better. That's how things progress in society. You know, the iPhone came out, another company made a better version of that. Does that mean they copied the design? They should be, you know, put down for basically making a better version. You know, people will differ in their opinion on this subject. Some people are going to say it's stupid because it's just an overpriced version of something that already existed. Well, that's how we progress in society. You know, we take something that's cool and we make it better. In this case, because it's made better, it is more expensive. If you don't want to spend, you know, $45 and up on something like this, go with the Key Smart. There's nothing wrong with that, but it is thin and I don't think it's as durable. And I have handled them before. But anyway, maybe in the future I'll get one and, you know, compare them in videos together. But yeah, if you want something like this and you want a real cheap option, 20, 30 bucks, go with a Key Smart. But if you want the more robust version, a Key Bar is a better option. Anyway, you know, the sky's the limit here. If you don't mind it being this fat, I mean, you can get a screw that long and put 100 keys on there. So it's just going to depend. For obvious reasons, I don't want this to be too thick because I do use the pocket clip occasionally. You know, because the pocket clip's mounted on the side, if you had this twice as fat, it would be sticking in your pocket like this. You can't turn it sideways if you're using the pocket clip. If you take the clip off and you really load this up with keys, it does fit nicely in the pocket like this. And I did make it like this wide, putting all my keys on there just to see how it would feel. And honestly, it's no different than getting a huge Victorinox, you know, with a bunch of tools in it. So if you already carry a Swiss Army knife, you know, this is basically very similar in a form factor to that, only it has a pocket clip. Pretty cool. I'm going to take one apart real quick just to show you how these work. I'm actually going to take the pocket clip off this one. All I'm doing is unscrewing this. All right, you can see the back. Whoop. Of course, it dropped the washer. And that's no problem. All right, so one side's off. I'm going to remove all the keys. Now you can see I have washers in between each key. All right, that just keeps it more consistent. So it's not a key on key that's rubbing. It's the washer in between. Just makes for less friction. It makes the keys move independently, so it's a little bit easier. All right, I'm going to pop this screw off. And we're going to do the other side real quick. Actually, take that pocket clip out too. All right, so same deal. You're just unscrewing it so it's no longer in the frame here. And there it is. All right, so you have two scales. Very, very simple. There's obviously a slot on one side if you wish to use the pocket clip. And again, as you saw that, you would have your keys set up on the bottom one. You would slide this pocket clip in just like so to make sure that the screw goes through there. Okay, this is what also keeps the tension on the pocket clip. So, very cool, very easy design. You see how there's a bulbous area on this side? What I do when I'm putting these keys on is I put the teeth on the inside like this. This is how I orient the keys. So, in this case, they're gonna sit just like this on the frame. So that's pretty much it. I mean, it's really easy to do. You can see this one is super slimline now. You can see the keys stick out on these areas on both sides. That's what kind of helps you use the keys to actually push the other ones out. At least that's how I've been using it. You can, if you wanted to take this set of keys out, you'd push down on this and it pushes them through. And then of course you can pick which one you want and then use it that way. But it's just really, really awesome. I happen to really like this a lot. It works for me perfectly. So I always recommend them. You know, it's like any other piece of gear. Because these are titanium, they are a little bit more expensive. If you want the cheaper option, they are out there. But I do like the key bars. I think it's totally worth it. And I do like the more robust, you know, thicker design. So anyway, that's it. Just want to do a review on this key bar since people have been asking about it since I first started showing it. So I figured it was time for review. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I thank you very much for watching. Any questions, comments, you can post down below. I'll be sure to read them and reply as soon as I can. And in the meantime, hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. I will see you soon. Take care.